Hi guys, it's Nicole and I've got a fun, simple, quick 2-page layout featuring book fare from Simple Stories. This is my celebration layout for this weekend's holiday. This is going up with International Scrapbooking Day 2025. I was itching to cut into this paper, especially, or this collection, but especially this paper with the pencils on it. Normally, I would talk myself out of using both sheets of this paper with the image on it because I would try to talk myself out of it, tell myself that I needed to use it, save one to use on another layout, that kind of a thing. I would say the last couple years I have really talked myself out of those types of negotiations with paper. I would rather use it, have it live in my albums where I can enjoy it. Now, I am following a sketch. It is paid for content, but I will post a link down below and you can kind of get a rough look here. I loved, there was an element on the left page where you've got your 3 4x6 photos. This was another reason I was drawn to it, was I really didn't want to crop my photos down to small sizes. So I was really kind of looking for some sketches with full-size photos. And this one had this really fun tilted design with those 3 photos, and I thought for sure that once I completed my layout, that was where it was going to go. I am going to change that, and I'll kind of explain why I changed it when I get there. I also thought that these rulers would make really good strips to break up between the pattern papers. It's kind of hard to tell in the video, at least in my editing screen, but the top section of my layout is little tiny yellow dots on a white pattern paper, and it's the top portion of that pencil paper. I tried the rulers and I just kind of felt like it was a little bit too thick, a little bit too heavy, so I went back to the fun kind of it's not a normal stripe. It has all the different colors, but they're different sizes, and I really liked that. So I cut 4 of those to kind of break up all of the pattern papers. I did use a yellow grid B side to kind of have for that middle section. I really was liking how the yellow and the blues and everything were kind of contrasting with each other. And I think I have mentioned this in a previous video recently, where with me and my style, sometimes I want to do a lot of fiddly bits, a lot of small pieces of paper, a lot of stitching, a lot of embellishing, and then sometimes I like to take it back and just go with something a little bit more traditional, a little bit more scaled back design-wise and embellishment-wise, kind of you're cleansing the palette, or how sometimes middle of the week you're just not in the mood to cook dinner and you pull out a frozen pizza from the freezer. It gets the job done, it's still good, it's just different, it's just a different style. So sometimes I like to just, like I said, kind of cleanse the palette and just have fun and pick something where the photos are going to be a really main focus, the main element of the layout, with my journaling, and then I'm using the pencil pattern paper really as a big embellishment piece in a sense. So when I'm doing designs like this with a double page layout, I do try to make sure that I'm trimming my pieces so that they are as exact as I can possibly get them, just so that they line up together when I put them side by side. I personally use D-ring albums, so by the time it goes in my album it's got a gap, but I do like to have them line up for when I take a photo of the layout when it's completed so that you guys can see it. I think it just makes it look finished if everything's lined up. I don't always do the best job with that, but I do try. I loved that this little composition cut apart was a 4x6 size. So I'm going to use that as a base for the area where I'm going to put my journaling. I did modify one area of the photos because I think the sketch was 6 4x6 photos, 3 horizontal, 3 vertical, and then the vertical opening for the journaling. However, I had 7 photos that I really wanted to use. So for me, a really easy solution, instead of adding another photo and trying to fit it in, is to just break up an existing photo into 2 smaller sizes. So a lot of times I will do 2 3x4 photos within a 4x6 space. And I personally use Photoshop Elements, but there are tons of free apps. Pretty sure you can do it on Canva pretty easily. Whether you're printing at home or sending out to print, you can just kind of save it as a JPEG and either upload it to print it somewhere, or if you're like me and you want to print at home, you can print from there. So I am finishing up getting just kind of all of those paper strips together. I did decide that this layout was okay not being stitched on. That's another thing that I will consciously try to do sometimes is, intentionally not stitch on something, or not use die cuts, or, not use some of those things that I tend to get obsessed with. Because like I said, sometimes I just need to, cleanse the palette, kind of just go back to some basic techniques, some basic designs, because they're still good. Like, I still love them. Now, this is about the point where I'm kind of looking at the sketch and I'm thinking to myself, if I have 3 4x6 photos and they're stacked, that is 12 inches. If I tilt it, that line becomes about 12.5 to 13 inches depending on an angle. And I'm like, why is this not lining up? Like, my photos are matted, like it looks like the sketch. It finally dawns on me that the photos that are depicted on the sketch are matted, meaning I would have needed to go and piece together 2 sheets of cardstock to mat this. It would have meant bringing in another pattern paper or a contrasting color, and I just was like, honestly, there's nothing wrong with just turning it back and having it be straight and sort of saving that step. I don't think it looks less interesting or, less than at all. That's just like a quick design thing sometimes in the moment where I'm like, we're going to skip this step. We're going to, instead of tilting it, we're going to go straight. I definitely do want to do this sketch again and kind of play around with using the tilted design, and then also kind of changing up the stuff on the right and maybe doing like a photo collage, or breaking up the different segments of paper and whatnot. Now, this is one of the reasons that I absolutely love my printer. I love printing at home, is because I can print on cut-aparts. This is, I probably shouldn't have sped it up, but this is how I do it. I take the cut-apart, I measure it in Google Docs, I set myself up with a space to type in that fits that cut-apart. I will print it out and see what the automatic spacing looks like in general. By the time you're seeing this, I've done probably 1 test print. I want to say typically what Google Docs spacing is set for fits most things for some reason. I think this is about an 11 as far as font size. But I will draw the lines between my journaling, where my journaling touches like left and right margin, top and right margin. And this basically just gives me visual lines to line up everything on there. And then I did show really quickly, you can take the light on your phone, or if you have like a light board, and you can check your spacing that way as well. I actually just take my paper and my cut apart and I go over to the window in my room, and it's just a big light board at that point. I can see the whole thing. I just double check, make sure everything's lined up, and then I will put my washi tape across the top. My printer has a rear feed, so that basically just means that the paper has a straight shot going through, and it's not going to go around anything. It's not going to make a U-turn, and you're not going to have a likelihood of it jamming. So it's, again, one of the reasons why I absolutely love doing computer-generated journaling. I know a lot of people say that, you should have your own handwriting in your albums. I say you do you. I absolutely do not like my handwriting, so I like to have fun with fonts and computer-generated journaling. This is another little tip that I like to tell people about is I will use the cutting mat for my digital machine. I have a Silhouette Cameo. I buy generic mats from Amazon and I use them for everything. At this example is I'm using it to do like a dry run of where I think I want to put my title and kind of mock it up. I don't want to do it without the mat because the chipboard is sticky and I print at home, which means that my photos are a little bit more tacky than what you would get when you send them out. I say tacky, but like they're not. Like they're dry, they're cured. If you've ever printed at home and like barely touched a sticker to one of them, you know what I mean. So I tried a couple different things, settled on one that I liked. This was around the point where I'm starting to really lean into, like I said, a more just simple layout. I was finding a couple like favorite icons and favorite pieces that I really wanted to use. I made sure to use the sticker that said last day, and it was on the sticker sheet. I went through every single thing in the collection. I believe the only reference to the last day of school is on the sticker sheet, so I wanted to make sure to kind of include that in my title. This is a mini session that I do with my kids every year on the last day of school. They kind of hold up their fingers for what the next grade is going to be. This one was my daughter going into 4th, my son going into 6th, and their last year together at elementary school. Some finishing touches that I decided to do was I pulled these little doodle stars from the sticker sheet, and that's what I'm going to use for like my small embellishing. I grabbed the pencil from the chipboard, another phrase sticker from the sticker sheet, and I opened up a die pack and kind of dug through it, and by all means, I could have gone ham with embellishing, but ultimately, I was just really feeling this kind of simplistic, traditional, scaled back, kind of almost like a quiet type of embellishing, if that makes sense. I really want just the photos to, be the focus of the layout, and I think that this was just a fun way to kind of celebrate National Scrapbooking Day by, revisiting some different and older, not older styles, but you know what I mean? Like we all kind of go through phases where you do something for a while and then, you move on to something else and you kind of forget that you used to like different things. If that makes any sense. I explained that horribly. But this was just, I don't know, I just really enjoyed putting this together. I thought this would be so fun to, kind of have as my participation in the Instagram hop. There will be a link below in the description box for that and anything else that I can think of that you guys may have questions about. Hopefully you guys made it to the end of this and that you enjoyed it. If you are new and you have yet to subscribe, I'd love for you to subscribe to my channel and hopefully find some more videos to inspire you. If you are subscribed, make sure you are checking the bell icon so that you get notified when I post, because I don't post on a schedule. I just kind of post when I can. So until then, I will catch you guys later.